I was in the Perez Art Museum of Miami, and I was surrounded by this glorious, beautiful art that had such a powerful social message. It was the pinnacle of brilliance. And this was my first time in Miami, and it was springtime, and it was hot, and it was sunny. It was relaxing. And it contrasted completely with the darkness that I felt on the inside. At that time, I had been struggling with these gay thoughts that had been with me my entire life and weren't going away. And yet I determined I was just going to bury them down. And so as I was walking these galleries, as opposed to being in awe, I was completely shut down. I was frustrated. I was angry. I remember thinking to myself, you will never be this good. You will never make a difference in the world like this. You're just not creative. Now let's fast forward 10 years later to 3 months ago. I get on stage. In front of hundreds of people in a crowded gay bar, and I make my debut as Rebecca Revelation. And I get on stage and I sing live, not lip sync, to Madonna's Like a Prayer. And it's almost as if I descended from the heavens in how free and joyful I felt. And as I was performing, I said to myself, you are healing little 12-year-old David, who would go in his room, slam the door, lock it, and dance to Britney Spears. And I had never felt more free and joyful, authentically myself. Now, of course, as you can imagine, between the 10 years between those events, a lot changed in my life. Most importantly was my affirmation of being my most authentic, beautifully free self. And early in my coming out process, I made the decision that I was going to be creative. So I studied the science of creativity. I listened to books, and I watched lectures and videos and did my own inner work. And I realized that art and its creativity is simply about bringing a little bit of joy to the world, a little bit of transcendence, a little smile to people's faces. And so in that regard, you are an artist, you are an artist, you are an artist, because we're all artists, as Oprah would say. We have that power within ourselves. And so I learned that if I was my most authentic self, and I lived a life that was deliberately choosing to engage my creativeness, I can awaken the inner artist within me. It's Pride Month. And no matter where you fall on the LGBTQ+ spectrum or as an ally, you have the ability to live authentically, no matter what that means in the context of your life. And you all have gifts that you bring, specifically your own brand of authenticity that you can bring to the world. And so I offer 3 strategies in which you can awaken your inner artist. The first is to recognize that you are already creative. The poet Audre Lorde says that you can not use anyone else's fire. You can only use your own. But first, you got to realize that you have it, Audrey says. And so as I was in my creative recovery process, I realized that if you could speak, if you could think, you are that is the most basic form of creativity. It's improvisation. And what I believe is that when you focus on something, it expands. So if you focus on your authenticity or you focus on your creativity, you will expand in your creative awareness and you're able to draw upon it when the time comes. We are always using our creativity in how we dress and what image we project to the world, or how the route that we take to work, or how we interact with others. Its opportunities of using creativity are endless. And so as you do this, you bring about your creative confidence. The second step in awakening your inner artist is to give yourself permission to be messy and whimsical and plain. The poet David Ramon Zayas says that whenever I am stuck, the only way across is to abandon rigidity, to accept not knowing, to throw something down and see how it lands. Creativity is a numbers game. And so for every brilliant idea, you may have a handful of not so good ideas. And so the idea is to have a lot of ideas. I live by this strategy called the morning pages. Does anybody know of that? And I learned about it from Julia Cameron's book, The Artist Way. And it is, you write 3 pages every single morning, stream of consciousness, without any regard to editing it or going back and reading it, and certainly not sharing it with anybody. And the idea is to allow your ideas to come out. And when you do this, you free that creative part of yourself and silence the inner critic, the inner perfectionist. I've been using this for 5 years, and you can even see that to prepare for this talk, I used it. And you see the colors and the messiness of it, and most of the stuff that's on there, I didn't use. But the idea was that I got that out. I cannot stress how much I love the morning pages, as you can tell. You can also just go out in nature, play with the mud, bang, if you have drums, bang on the drums or the keyboard. Not this one, though. I won't mess with your instrument art. The idea is you're having fun and playing. And this concept of play is something that children do, that they don't give any regard to the outcome of it. And this kind of segues into my third point, which is giving yourself permission to revisit and reclaim what you did as a child. The writer and activist Janet Mock says that when I was younger, I wish that I would have been told that I was right, that nothing was wrong with me, and that I was deserving of everything this world has to offer. As queer children, we were probably told that what we were drawn to wasn't right. It wasn't this or that. We should be like this, and we should be like that. But as adults now, we have the privilege of getting to revisit those things that we were drawn to, because that is our most unique, authentic, purest version of ourselves. When I was a little kid, every summer, I liked to go to the San Leandro Public Library, which is just across the bay from San Francisco. And I would go and I would read a book. And every time I read a book, I would get a star. And if I got enough stars, I got to go to this carnival at the end of the summer. And so I stayed inside reading and soaking in all of this knowledge. And I was told Well, you shouldn't be going outside playing sports. You should be rough and tumble. But I wanted to stay inside and read. But now, every Monday, I go to the San Leandro Public Library, check out a book, and over the course of that week, I read and I highlight, take notes, and I use it for my speaking and my teaching. And I gain content from that. And so I took what I liked to do as a child and didn't give any regard to why I shouldn't have been doing that, and I use it today. And so my invitation for you is to think about what you would like to do that you have buried deep down as a child. Do it, and give yourself that permission to embrace the creativity that is you. So in summary, the 3 ways in which you can awaken your inner artist is to name how you're already creative, to give yourself permission to be messy and whimsical, and the third is to revisit and reclaim what you did as children. And so in my work as the Chief Operating Officer of a very vibrant and thriving spiritual community, I often live in the world of spreadsheets, personnel management, data-based migrations. But because I use these strategies of creativity, I'm able to have solutions to problems. I'm able to interact with people in a more strategic, more efficient way. I've also found myself operating in more creatively predominant opportunities. In fact, I'm teaching a class right after tonight, so I'm going to have to run after this, but I have developed some course curriculum. I'm working on a book on gay men's spirituality about how they can heal themselves and heal the world. And so doing all of these artistic things empowers me to be authentic. And then when I'm authentic, I can inspire others, who can inspire others, who can inspire others. And in that way, that's how we can change the world.